So I think if you want to get to $1 million in your business, a brand new business, those are the 5 steps you have to do. Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
How would you like to achieve your first million? And today we have Chris with us, which is the president and CEO of Community Bankshares. It's a holding company, Community Bank, and Trust CBT, Phoenix Lender Services, and Thomas Financial Group. They finance the nation's small and underserved businesses through our SBA 7A and USDA. So before he was the founder and CEO of Fountainhead, and have more than 24 years experience of leadership experience in the commercial lending industry, specifically with SBA loan programs. So Chris, tell us, what are the 5 steps that you recommend entrepreneurs in order to achieve the first million?
I think for an entrepreneur starting out to achieve the first million, I think what the first thing they need to do is find a niche. So, and you find that by doing some due diligence, doing some research to determine what it is that you want to do. It's not easy. It probably somewhat is going to be related to some of your interests. I would say, you've got to have, that would be the first thing. The second thing is you've got to have some sort of purpose behind it. I don't want to say that you need to be passionate about it, because I think if you have a purpose behind why you pick that niche, I think in time you can become passionate about it, and hopefully you would, because passion and purpose sustain you through the entrepreneurial valleys, because there's ups and there's downs in entrepreneurialism. The third thing I would say is you've got to figure out, how do you differentiate yourself from your competitors in that particular niche? That is something that I think a lot of people don't spend enough time on. There's a lot of sameness in industries. I've always called it a regression to the mean. You look around your industry and you try to do what everybody else does. The problem is that means you're going to become average. And if you want to stand out in an industry and you want to make your first million as quick as you can, then that means you're going to have to do things differently than everybody else in your industry. So it's, and then I would say the fourth thing I would recommend to someone is you're going to have to market your business. And this is something that, falls on deaf ears for a lot of entrepreneurs, because, they're a technologist and they do this, or they're a physician and they help patients or whatever, but they don't necessarily focus their attention on how do you market the business. As I've often said, you can be the greatest brain surgeon in the world, but if you don't have the ability to tell people that you're that, then how do you get the business, right? And that same philosophy applies no matter what it is that you do out there. If you're you decide to design a new shoe, who's going to know about it if you don't actually market it? Okay. So that's the fourth thing. You need to spend some time on learning how to market appropriately. And then the last thing, which is critical for any business, especially to sustain yourself in business, is you've got to execute. At the end of the day, you have to do what you said you're going to do consistently. And sometimes that means you've got to follow up, and you've got to provide good customer service, and you've got to provide the product or service that you said you're going to do repeatedly. And there's plenty of people in this world that do not do that, that are inconsistent, that do not have the discipline to execute day in and day out. So I think if you want to get to $1 million in your business, a brand new business, those are the 5 steps you have to do. Yeah, absolutely.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.